In many countries, tipping is an option. You can choose to do it or not. In the US, however, tipping is expected. If you don't do it, you might get some dirty looks. And that's because in the US, service workers are paid low wages. So tips make up for the rest. But there's more to it than just making up for low wages. There's a psychological reason why tipping is so popular in the US and other countries too. It makes you feel better about yourself? Of course not. Most people are not like that. But most people want to feel good about themselves. But the researchers found that even small increases in tipping above what is expected can lead to greater self-perceptions. In other words, even if something is expected of you, you can still feel good about doing it. So when you go to a restaurant and hand over a generous tip, you come away feeling like a generous person, and that feels good. Now, before I explain how this works, let me explain what I mean by saying that tipping is expected in the US. I mean, it's expected when you go to restaurants. In many states, the minimum wage for service workers is $2.13. Not only is it needed to make up for low wages, it also makes people feel good about themselves. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. But is that a good enough reason? Some people say no. They say it's unfair to expect workers to depend on customers' generosity. They say that instead of depending on tips, the government should raise service workers' wages. What do you think? Should the government raise service workers' wages? Or is it okay for them to depend on tips? Let me know your thoughts. That's less than half of the federal minimum wage of $7.25. Waiters, waitresses, bartenders, and others in the service industry rely on tips to make up for the rest of their income. So if you go to a restaurant in the US, it's expected that you will tip well because the workers depend on it. For example, if you want to leave a 20% tip on a $100 bill, you have to add $20 to the total. A new study shows that tipping makes people feel better about themselves. The researchers gathered 248 participants for a series of experiments. Half of them were told to tip generously. The other half had no instructions. Then they all took a survey. The researchers found that those who were asked to tip felt significantly better about themselves. They said things like, "I'm a generous person," and "I'm a kind person." The researchers concluded that tipping can serve as a marker of prosocial behavior. In other words, tipping lets you show the world how good you are. It lets you show the world how generous and kind you are. That means the new total is $120. But most people don't pay the full $120 right away. Instead, they put their card into a machine before they get their receipt. The machine asks them how much they want to tip. Let's say they type in $20, then press enter. Then the machine prints out a receipt for them. This receipt shows that they only paid $100, not the $120 that they actually owe. This is confusing to people from other countries who don't tip much at home. They think they already paid $100, so why are they getting a receipt for $100? But that's just how things work in the US. The reason why tipping is expected in the US is mainly because service workers earn very low wages. But there's another reason why tipping is so popular. Now, do people actually become more generous because they want to show off? Some people might say that since tipping is expected in the US, it shouldn't be considered a generous act. After all, it's not really a gift. And this is why tipping is so popular in the US. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button